What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel with On 3. Today on the Hard Count, USC and UCLA are reportedly interested in joining the Big Ten. What does this mean for the conference and college football? Next. Welcome into the Hard Count, the people show for everything you know and love about college football. It happens here on a nearly daily basis. Let's get right to it. Breaking news. USC and UCLA are reportedly looking to join the Big Ten as early as 2024. A lot of things to unpack about this, a lot of speculation, but let's get to what we know about this per reports. The report is that USC and UCLA both reached out to the Big Ten. So it wasn't like the Big Ten came to USC and UCLA and asked if they wanted to come join their club. No, USC and UCLA took initiative to try and join the Big Ten, or at least have conversations. Second, this is not finalized. A lot of talk, a lot of headlines, fun for you, fun for me. Well, maybe not that fun for you, but bottom line, this is not set in stone by any stretch of the imagination. There's two things that come into play here. There's two things that I think makes this more plausible. The first is money, right? Think back to Oklahoma and Texas nearly this time last year when the word got out, hey, Texas and Oklahoma might be leaving for the SEC. Eventually that became a reality, or will become a reality here in the not too distant future. This feels a lot like that, but money is driving both of those cars. Like the whole conference realignment bus is being driven by the greenbacks. And so for the Big Ten, they are going to be looking for a new media rights deal. They're in negotiations right now that'll reportedly come into play very soon. Reports are also that's worth nearly $1 billion, or could exceed $1 billion. It's not set in stone, but anytime you have any number starting with a B, it's tough to not at least turn your ear to that and try and have a conversation about it. So for USC and UCLA, this is a money-driven thing. The Pac-12 isn't bringing in the kind of revenue that the Big Ten is. Nearly nobody else in the country is bringing in the kind of revenue the Big Ten is. So from that standpoint, it would benefit both schools, and that's kind of the bottom line. The second piece of this that to me would make some sense, especially for USC, to some degree, this is about being taken seriously. And it's tough to say it right now, but the Pac-12 as a whole for the last, I don't know how many years, has kind of had an asterisk next to it. It's always been, well, the Pac-12 is a little bit of a weaker conference. You know, they do things there on the West Coast. It's always had a reputation of not necessarily being one of the top conferences. And after a while, that wears on you, especially if you're a brand like USC. I mean, think about what we know about USC. USC is one of the most storied programs in all of the sport. Like, think about Pete Carroll USC. That USC deserves better than what the Pac-12 is dishing up right now. And so UCLA, also a very storied brand. They have their own history, a little bit more distant. But both of these brands, to put it bluntly, feel like they deserve better. And I was talking to a buddy who actually played football at USC, and he was just talking about, hey, man, we're tired of having these 7:30 Pacific time games where nobody else in the country is watching. No national audience for, again, a national brand of USC. We're tired of having this bias where when it comes to the award ceremonies, we're left out in the cold because nobody's watching our games. There's a level of, I think, respect that is owed to a program like USC, and UCLA is probably in that conversation as well. But again, I keep harping on the fact of the brand, the brand, the brand. USC's brand outweighs whatever bat the Pac-12 is swinging. And maybe that's kind of harsh to say, but that's the world we're living in right now. And so for USC to pick up and go to the Big Ten would make a whole lot of sense. And in some sense, could benefit a whole lot more from a competition standpoint, definitely from a financial standpoint. It would just be a good move for them. It'd be a good move for UCLA too. Again, this is another conversation probably about UCLA, and this is not to keep saying USC's brand is here and UCLA's brand is here, but just in the direction of college football right now. The Big Ten makes a whole lot of sense for USC, again, because of money and because of being taken seriously ultimately when it comes to college football. So then you got to look to the rest of the Pac-12. And this was a conversation we had about the Big 12 around a year ago this time again, but what happens to the rest of those programs? And in earnest, I don't know. Nobody knows right now, but I think you go into sink or swim mode if you're the rest of those programs. Because ultimately, what other brand is paying the bills in the Pac-12 if you don't have USC or UCLA? Stanford, maybe. Oregon? I would buy that, Nike money. But if you're a Washington State, are you really earning your keep in the Pac-12? If you're an Oregon State, are you really earning your keep in the Pac-12? And if you're Oregon, you're looking behind you and saying, we got Cal, Oregon State, Washington State. Those are the schools that are supposed to be in the boat with me. Do you not just cut ties and look for greener pastures yourself? We're speculating here, but you get my drift. It may be more beneficial for some of these programs in the Pac-12 to look for greener pastures. The other option here is you got to go on offense if you're the Pac-12. You got to start going shopping. Go try and snag a Boise State or someone that would be a brand that maybe you could buy low, sell high kind of thing. We'll see what happens. Again, USC and UCLA not finalized, but looking to potentially make a move to the Big Ten in 2024. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We will continue to follow this story as it evolves. Follow me on Twitter at JD Piquel. Subscribe to the channel. We are going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time.